Okay. I had to make myself the presenter again.
There you go. Good.
Because you're the presenter. Show my screen. Okay. And show. Okay. So I'm not sure if that did anything on yours, but
it did. I now see your slide from your screen. So that's
okay, good. All right, and it says on air showing application, and then the stop recording red light is on, so I'm assuming it's recording. Okay. So yeah, this has been a really good system to work with so far because, like I said, I get a nice clean audio recording, and then then I send it to get transcribed, and so anyway, okay, very good. All right, well, this is Lawrence J. Clark of thecommunicationleader.com, and today we are interviewing David Perdew for my new book, Why Webinars Work. And I wanted to just give a great big welcome to you, David, and thank you for joining us in this series of interviews.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Lawrence. I'm honored to be part of this.
All righty. Well, it wouldn't be the same without you.
So. Thank you.
Yes. So, all right. Well, first of all, I wanted you to just give you a couple of minutes to just tell us about your big project, which is the Niche Affiliate Marketing System, or NAMS, and just tell us a little bit about how that got started and what you're. I'm going to ask you some specific questions about how you're using webinars in NAMS, but just tell us a little bit about how you got started with that.
Sure. So NAMS, I actually started all this because I had a hosting company, and the hosting company was for people who were building niche sites, and I was trying to train people in how to use this hosting company to their greatest benefit. And one of the things that I decided to do was basically just a weekend training session for how to use the hosting company.
Okay.
And that turned into a workshop. It was designed as a workshop. And when I put it out there designed as a workshop, I got 6 instructors to come along with me to do the training for a 3-day weekend. And it turned into a really good workshop about niche marketing and about affiliate marketing. And so we realized that we had something there. The hosting company, by the way, died in about 6 months after that. I didn't die per se. I sold it to somebody else.
Okay.
And then the webmaster or the data center kind of imploded, where all the servers were hosted, and it became a real problem for the person who owned it after me. But in any case, the workshop and the training that we were doing about business training really took off.
Okay.
And so we did that for about 3 years, put together 6 different workshops. And at the time, I was also a corporate consultant at the same time. So I was traveling all over the country at the same time doing this business, all of these businesses, while I was doing my full-time consulting. And
yes.
I was an independent consultant, and so I was getting a ton of money doing that. And, I enjoyed it. And one of the things I love about, having your business online is that you can do it from wherever you want. So my favorite workplace became the travel centers at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport.
There you go. Yeah. I'm actually, just to let you know, I'm actually sitting on top of a mountain in New Mexico right now at our little vacation cabin. So yes, I totally agree with you. This kind of business we can do from wherever we are, and that's awesome.
That's right. Yeah. And so after about 3.5 years of doing the workshop, we realized that from the people who were attending the workshops, it was becoming a really close-knit family of people, and we were up to about 250 people at that time attending these workshops. And they were requesting a place to meet between workshops. So I decided to build a membership site, which has become a huge portal now. It's only about 1.5 years old now. Maybe not even that old, actually. It's only about 15 months old, I guess, right now. But it has more than 3,000 pages and a ton of training material in there, and a lot of it has come from webinars.
Yes, and I'll just a little disclaimer here. I'm actually a member of that website myself, so I have been through quite a bit of some of the trainings, but not all of it. It's I mean, like you said, there's what 3,000 pages worth of stuff on there, and
There's
there's
3,000 pages and almost
yes.
2,000 videos.
Yeah, right. So I mean, just that just this one website alone could be if someone did nothing but I think if someone did nothing but only looked at this one website without anything else, they could probably be very successful in this business.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the way we built it.
Right.
We really wanted a one-stop shop where you get all the tools, all of the things that you need once you have your infrastructure set up.
Right.
Your
Yes.
hosting company and your email accounts and all of that, and your shopping cart.
Shopping cart.
Once you have all
yes.
that set up, you should not have to go anywhere else to get content, to get tools, to get training, and that was our desire from the beginning, was to build a real training system, soup to nuts. But the bigger thing was to build it in such a way that you could come in as a brand new person and not feel lost. So you could come in as a brand new person and say, okay, I start right here, because we help you determine where. Or you come in as a an advanced marketer, and we get you started in the right place there as well.
Right. Now I noticed that we're going to talk a little bit. Actually, now is probably a good time to, since you've been mentioning the live workshops. You actually have one coming up soon, but one of the things that you have you do there, which I really like, is you have kind of, as you just mentioned, you have I think 4 different levels. Is that correct?
We do.
Yeah.
We do, and that came from the second workshop forward. We're having number 9 as we're speaking.
Right.
It's coming up in about 80 days.
And what is the what is the date of that?
That is February 7, 8, and 9, or is
Okay.
it February 8, 9, and 10 is what the actual workshop is. We have a Thursday pre-workshop, which is a bunch of laser-targeted activities, so people learn how to do more things on the day before the workshop.
Ah, good. Okay, so and where can people go if they would like to register for that?
I'll give you a short link to send people to, and that is nams.ws
Okay.
/NAMS.
nams.ws / and NAMS, and that's NAM like Mary S.
That's right.
Right. Okay, great. All right, we'll repeat that later on, but I just wanted to get that in there, and we will in the print version of this book and in the ebook version, we will have some links to some various things that you have available for folks. Okay, good. Now, one of the things is, so as you mentioned, you started out doing the live workshops, and then you did that for about, sounds like about 7 years, and then
3 years.
3 years.
7 workshops.
Okay. Oh, so I'm
years.
sorry. Yes, seven workshops. So you're up to number 9 coming up. Okay.
Yep.
So twice a year. Okay. And then now you are, and then in the last year and a half or so, you have started this portal website, which I found about a year ago myself. So tell us about the training. I know on there you have webinar. Most of the training seems to be done by via webinar. So explain to us why you chose that medium in order to do the training.
Well, our philosophy is that we show you how to do something, basically demonstrate it, and then you implement it. And so there's no better way to do that, I think, than having a video in front of you that you can actually just watch as somebody else is doing something, and then you follow along and do exactly the same thing and implement that. Mm-hmm. So that's really the basis of that. But we also have an audio version of the exact same training, and we have a PDF version of the exact same training, so you can follow along that way as well. People like to learn in different ways, but I find that the webinars really are great training tools. You've talked to a lot of people. I'm sure you've talked to somebody, probably Daniel Hall, as a matter of fact.
Yes, I have already interviewed him, yes. Yeah.
Daniel is an outstanding salesperson when it comes to webinars. He knows how to use webinars to sell really well. And we actually did a webinar, a 2-hour webinar with Daniel on our site, where he went through the process. He told people, he said, this is how I'm going to sell you via this webinar. Now watch for these things. And he demonstrated exactly how to put together a sales tool using webinars, and then he executed it, and he
Yes.
sold people things on
And
that
then,
webinar.
yes, and people knew exactly what was coming, and they bought it anyway because
And they did,
he's got
because
great
he did
stuff.
such a great job
Yes.
of teaching people. It's one of the best training webinars we have.
Yes.
But that's what we do specifically. I'm not all about selling through webinars. I'm all about training through webinars.
Yes. Well, that's fascinating because for me, coming from an educational background, having I think in January it'll be my 25th anniversary teaching at the university level, and from that background, when I saw webinars, my first thought was, oh, what a cool way to supplement some of my courses. And to give
Sure.
some extra information for students who are really involved, and then also I teach some courses that are by distance learning, which now is mostly by internet. And I thought, a lot of that is done by email and chat rooms, but it would be really cool to have that live element for the training. So can you talk a little bit about that live element and how that's different for people rather than, say, just reading a PDF file and trying to follow along with it, for example?
Well, I really do think that it depends on the topic that you're going to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you are teaching, I don't know what's a good example here, but, geez, I don't know, but there's some stuff that actually lends itself better to the written word, and reading that and learning by reading. Or when I first got in this business, I did all of my learning by audio, and people who did great teleseminars were able to describe in audio how to do whatever it was that you wanted done on tools. One of my favorite people to follow years ago was a guy named Jimmy D. Brown.
Oh, yes.
And Jimmy did a great job of putting together PDFs and training material and then following it up with an audio that reviewed his PDF training material, and that was terrific. But I feel like that the webinar actually gives you more of a hands-on and sometimes even face-to-face, because now you can even include faces in some of your training, so that you can actually do more of a hands-on relationship type building between the trainer and the trainee, especially when you have interactive questions on a live webinar.
Yes.
And that's what we try to do.
Yes, and I think that's one thing that Daniel talks about is how, if you build in some interaction as you're going along and ask questions and give little polls where they can respond, and that helps people feel a part of what's going on rather than that they're just giving information thrown at them or pushed at them, I guess, using some
And through e-learning, Lawrence, this webinars are kind of just a little bit of a different flavor, I think, in some of the e-learning courses that you guys have been building for 10 years at least.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
where
started
you
in
do
93.
step-by-step training.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I started, my first online course was in 1993.
Right.
But it was before we had the World Wide Web available. That didn't come out until maybe a couple of years later. So we were doing it through local BBS bulletin board systems that people had to dial into with their dial-up phone modem.
Right.
At the little green screen with the text only,
I personally believe there's no reason that I really believe that every state, I live in Alabama, and I think that one of the big opportunities for this state is to retrain their entire workforce if they want to, by doing a kind of a global training system for everybody in the state. I would love to see that.
Yeah. You're talking about the state government workers?
Retrain anybody. If you have a workforce that is changing, which ours is changing all the time now.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great that your government could offer a retraining program where you dialed in and you might be familiar with lynda.com.
Yes.
Yes. Lynda is a great training site, and you could actually go in and learn techniques and tools and tips for different software, let's say, for becoming an Access database programmer by following the modules straight through. There's no reason not to do that these days.
Right. So people, for example, well, I'm kind of dating myself here, but many years ago, I grew up in New England, and
Mm-hmm.
in Maine, one of our major industries was the shoe manufacturing industry.
Sure.
And so we had shoe shops everywhere. And that's what I did when I actually dropped out of high school and went to go work in a shoe shop because that's what a lot of people did back then.
Right.
And, but then we were all displaced by the lower cost of manufacturing in, at the time it was Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's China, but at the time it was, and now it's mainland China, but at the time it was Taiwan. But at that time, there was no retraining. There was no internet. There
Right.
was no anything like that. So for me to get retrained into some other trade or field, I would have to go to a technical school or something and actually hold down a job and then go at night for classes or whatever. So what ended up happening to me is I just moved to another state where I found other kind of work.
Sure.
But
And I grew up in Indiana and Kentucky, and
oh,
textiles was where in Kentucky and North Carolina and South Carolina, and in Georgia, where I eventually moved to Atlanta for a while.
mm-hmm.
And in North Georgia, it was all Levi factories and shirt factories where they were
Right.
making clothes.
Mm-hmm.
That all went away, and now there's no pair of Levi's made in the United States any longer.
Wow.
They're all made out of the country.
Yeah.
And so, industries change all the time, and I really believe that what I'm doing now with the MyNAM site
Yes.
is that we're giving people an opportunity to learn how to do something new, to build their own business, even if it is, and the way we've broken down our tracks, by the way,
mm-hmm.
is by how much money you make or want to make. So if
Right.
you are a brand new beginner, you might have an idea, but you're not making any sales, and you probably don't have a website.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, well, that would be what we call NAMS 100. NAMS 200 would be people who have a website. They may be making some sales already. They probably went through the 100 courses, but they're not exactly sure why they made sales, and it's not much.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
NAMS 300 would be people who are beginning to click, and they're making some money, but it's not enough to be a full-time marketer, but they might be supplementing their family income. They might be paying for the car. They
Mm-hmm.
might be making the house payment, all of that stuff. But they're not a full-time marketer, and they're probably working way too hard at that point.
Right.
And so then the NAMS 400 is the advanced marketer, who is somebody who is a full-time marketer and makes all of their income, or as much as they want, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
from their full-time marketing gig. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be a full-time marketer. I was an independent consultant and making as much money in my consulting business as I was in my online business
Mm-hmm.
because it was easy for me to do both, and I enjoyed
Yes.
doing both. So, that's the way we've broken that up. And in my mind, people can, if you're not doing some kind of business on your own, then you don't have a whole lot of control over your life. And I think the last stat I saw, Lawrence, was that like 80% of America had a small business at some point.
Yes, well, I know that's something I've always done, and one of the reasons why I went into the profession that I did as far as education was knowing that I could do something to help society by helping educate people, but at the same time, I wouldn't be tied down, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, and I would have my summers free and Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, spring break. And then, so I've always done something on the side. And it's interesting that for a lot of people, I see a lot of people trying to get into this, for example, online marketing, but they don't understand a lot of the details that it takes to get past that first learning curve, that first 6 months, a year, 18 months. And that's one of the things I really like about the NAMS is that it helps people. Like you said, it can take people from that very beginning stage, or if they're in the intermediate stage, and maybe they never even really want to go to that advanced stage.
That's right.
And so that's really good.
There's lots of opportunities there and lots of options, and what we try to do is meet people where they are and help them get where they want to be. So,
right.
And we want to do that through the training. I see the NAM site becoming really a retraining site. I really see it as a way for people to actually change their lives. And I'm a big believer that we are in a very, very fluid society, and as it gets more and more fluid, which it will,
Yes.
people need a way to be flexible. And I just don't believe there's any reason that anybody shouldn't have an opportunity to make more money with their own business.
Right.
I think everybody's an expert in something.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a very good point that you make right there, because it's not somebody, for example, somebody like you, that you were a business consultant. I actually still am an English professor, so we have been trained in certain really, some people might consider high-level type technical or educational fields. But even someone, can you give a couple examples of people that are just have kind of an ordinary everyday skill, but they've been able to turn that into a money-making opportunity online by teaching other people about that?
Sure. One of our instructors at NAMS, and by the way, we have 65 now.
Wow.
And one of our instructors at NAMS has a scrapbooking business, and she's making 10 figures a month with her scrapbooking business.
Yes.
I didn't mean 10 figures, over $10,000 a month.
Right. Who'd
with
have
her
thunk it?
scrapbooking business. Yeah. And she's teaching other people how to do scrapbooking. We have people who have cooking sites. We have somebody, and this is somebody that's coming to this next workshop, and I'm really excited to see what she's doing. She was a former journalist, and I'm a former journalist too. Before business consulting, I was 20 years in the newspaper business.
Oh, okay.
And I think that journalists are a huge target market for me, because talk about a business that is in transition. Newspapers and magazines are going away just as fast as you can name them.
They are, unfortunately, yes.
And but they have a huge opportunity because they are great content creators. They may not be great business people or marketers, and that's how we can help them. And one of the people I wanted to tell you about was a woman who was a former journalist, and she is in Canada. She's coming to the workshop in February, and she decided that she wanted to learn how to cook like her native Jamaican mother.
Okay.
So she's doing a website all about that and using video to actually teach people. She's been preparing all of these Jamaican meals with her mother, and it's turned into a pretty good traffic generator because people are really intrigued by this couple, this mother and daughter thing, and they're learning how to make Jamaican meals, and she's turning that into a business.
That is awesome. Well, that's a couple of really great examples, and I know that you could go on for hours probably with those type of examples. But I wanted to at least let you touch on those, because again, I think a lot of people think, oh, well, and if I want to do this, online, any kind of online business, I have to be a computer programmer, or I have to be a graphic designer, or I have to be a video producer or something. But
people make that mistake. I mean, that is a huge mistake, because you do not have to have any technical skill to speak of, and you don't have to have any business skill to speak of, and you don't have to have something. You don't have to teach people how to make money. Everybody thinks if you've got a business online that you need to teach people how to make money. What you need to teach people is what they want. And often, if you have an expertise, there are a ton of other people out there who will want to know what you know. And it takes the person who is a little bit brave and a little bit brash that they can step out there and show people how to do it and be confident about it.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good point that you made, and the whole name of NAMS, that, I mean, if you spell out the whole name, niche affiliate marketing system. So what you just kind of touched on, the fact that you don't have to be an computer programmer or have a bunch of technical skills. You just have what we call a niche market, where people want. You have something that people want. You have knowledge that people want.
And just to pat myself on the back here for a second, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. That's why we're here.
We have actually created a blog, a members blog area of our site, where members can actually have their own blog. So if you don't have anything, if you don't have a website or anything, all you've got is an email address, you can actually start typing and creating your own content on your own blog and drive people into your blog on our site. And so we've even given people a way to start. There's just no excuse for people not to start.
Right. Well, that brings me into, I just have a couple of more questions and then I'm going to let you wrap it up. But I wanted to ask if you had some advice to those people who say, they're looking around and they're saying, I like this idea of webinars. Maybe I have something that people might want to know about, but I just have no idea how to do it, and I want to start doing webinars. What
Uh-huh.
advice would you have for somebody like that?
Well, first off, let's talk about the kinds of webinars that you can do. I really throw them into two categories. One
Okay.
is where I'm doing my own webinar, where I'm doing teaching and I'm doing the engaging with the audience.
Okay.
And then the second is where I'm hosting somebody else who is doing the teaching. So it's me as the expert or me hosting an expert. And if you think of that as kind of a TV show, it really, like this week I'm doing a webinar myself about exit strategies in business and how to create an exit strategy and when you should create an exit strategy, and back from my consulting days and some from some of my own path about how I created my business and the feelings that I have about that. So I have an expertise there that I really want to lay out for people. But I also have had people on who were joint venture experts, who were, let's see, I have had Nicole Dean on about outsourcing because she's such a great outsourcing person. Connie Reagan Green has been on about how to get so much money, so much sales from a small list.
Yes,
And
she's really good
that's
at
been
that.
a really encouraging one for a lot of people. And so what I say is when you do a webinar, think of it as basically just your conduit to the to your list, and second to the type of training that you want to host, whether it's coming from you or other people. Now, in the beginning, I recommend that people do hosting more than anything else, that they host other people, because other people's expertise rubs off on you. Other people's credibility will rub off on you. And as you do more and more of the webinars with other people, people are going to want to attend your webinars more. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And actually, one of the interviews I've done for this book also is with Kathy Demers.
Oh yes.
And yes,
Love
and
Kathy.
she has her weekly Business Success Cafe,
Yes.
which she, that's how she has really made a name for herself. She's done, I think she said she's up to maybe 80 different ones now.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. It's grueling the way she does it because it is just 20 minutes and it's a little bit of a real compact kind of thing, and it's very succinct and it works really well for her.
Yeah,
but
through that,
we were talking. Yeah, so we were talking about the way that people can get started with webinars.
Yes.
I use GoToWebinar system, and I think you use GoToWebinar
Yes,
system.
I do. Yes.
There are other systems out there, and one of the things that you just have to do is get a 30-day trial, basically, with GoToWebinar or any of the other systems, and get started. And you just you line up your interviews. In 30 days, you could have 100 interviews. I mean, if you really wanted to do it.
Well, that's true. Yes, if you really.
I mean, you really could.
Yeah. If you line it up all beforehand, yes, and get ready to go. And actually, that's a really good idea. Use that 30-day trial on a couple of different systems and then see which one you like best, I guess. Yeah.
That's right. And in the GoToWebinar system, let's talk about the technology a little bit. In the GoToWebinar system, it delivers you, it will record for you. Now, I don't think the sound is all that great in GoToWebinar, but it's great for starting out. And I did it with GoToWebinar starting out. But you can use the record function in GoToWebinar, and you are delivered a file which you can actually put up as a WMV file, and it plays in any Internet Explorer browser. So if you're good and you don't have to edit it or anything, then you can just throw that up. If you need to edit it, you can get a piece of software that you can edit pretty easily with, and cheaply, and then you move forward as you build out those webinars into real products. Right. And once you've got webinars, by the way, you have products. So
Oh, that's a good
That is
point.
a,
Yes.
in fact, I'll give you a link that you need to go to yourself, and you might want to, because we're just releasing it in the next day or so,
Okay.
and it's called mynams.com / live training replays, and there's a hyphen between live training replays.
Okay.
So it's mynams.com / live training replays.
Okay.
And that is a gallery page of all of the webinars that we've done on the Wednesday night training, and each one of them is for sale there for $7 a piece. Or if you're a member of the site, you get access to all of them.
Right.
So that's really the heart and soul of our products.
Yes, and basically all those are just recordings of webinars that have already been done. You don't really tweak them that much, right? You just
do them once, and then we're done.
Yep, that's good. Yes. So I think now you and I are saying that. Okay, right now we're saying, oh yeah, we just do it, record it, and then put it up. There's a little more to it than that, and I just want to be clear to people that there is a learning curve, and to not get frustrated.
But there's not a lot.
Right.
You do one, and you've got a system for doing the rest of them.
Yes.
Now the thing that's missing, though, Lawrence, that people really miss out on, or they get frustrated with, is the marketing of those products.
Yes.
So, I'm a big time builder. I love building products, and I love building websites, and I love all the technical aspects of doing stuff like this. The marketing piece of it, I really don't like it all that much. I just don't like doing the marketing all that much. But I get people to help me with that.
Right.
So, you do what you're good at.
That's actually a good piece of advice right there too. Is just do the things that you're good at, that you enjoy doing, and that you get a good feel for, and then, but then get people to help you do the other things.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's good. Great. Okay. Well, tell you what. I know we've covered quite a bit of ground here in just a few minutes. And I might get back to you once I go through the transcript, if you don't mind, just to see if there's something else. But is there anything else maybe that I forgot to ask you, or that you really wanted to talk about right now, that you might want to add? Remember, this book is specifically for people. That the title of it is Why Webinars Work, and it will be talking about not necessarily instruction on how to do them, but the basics of how they work and why they work. And I have other chapters where people are talking about the psychology and the sales psychology and that kind of thing. But is there something else that you would like to add that you think really needs to be in this book?
Yeah, from a training standpoint, I don't know that there is. The one thing I might suggest is that if people are interested in building a business around webinars, they need to watch a bunch of webinars. They need to see what other people are doing, because they're becoming incredibly sophisticated. It's just like, years ago we could put up an ugly website, and you really can't do that anymore.
Right.
You have to be a little more sophisticated than that. Yeah. So, find people who are doing good webinars, like Jeff Herring and Kathy Demers and, Daniel Hall, and I think we do some pretty good ones at our site at mynams.com. And, people who are doing good webinars and with good content, and then watch and figure out what works for you, because if it attracts you, if there's something that you like about it, then you want to know more about that person, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and why it works for you.
Yes. Okay. So, and then, like you said, I think another thing that you said earlier, you just reminded me of, is some people think, oh, I have to go on there and I have to teach people about making money, but I don't know how to make money. I know how to make scrapbooks. Right. So like you said, find something that works for you, and then I guess also find maybe a style and a pace and all that kind of stuff. Yep. Watch what other people are doing.
That's right.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and the main website for NAMS, let's go ahead and repeat that one more time for folks.
Okay, for the workshop, it is nams.ws/NAMS.
Okay.
And I would send people to nams.ws/join.
Okay.
Would be the membership. and you want to send people to both of those.
Yes. Okay. So one is for the workshop, and one is to join the membership site, which I highly recommend. By the way, I've been a member for a while, and I've learned a lot from going to that. So, great. Well, thank you so much, David, for taking time out of your schedule to join us today, and I will be getting back with you about the progress of the book.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.